Vaseline. Hello, everyone. This is Scratch and Jack, your hosts for the Amazing Plastics Sunday Hangout. And I'm still wearing underwear, believe it or not. Anyway, Amazing Plastic is a Google Plus community of modelers of all shapes and sizes, genres, and skill levels who like to share their tips and tricks with one another and to revel in one another's scale modeling achievements. Today we have joining us members of Amazing Plastic as well as followers of Amazing Plastic to talk models. And today we have, how you doing, Bob?
Pretty good, Jack. How's everybody this evening? We're just
very good, thank
We've just left St. Louis out in rural Missouri, and we're working on several projects tonight, which we'll get into later, I guess.
Oh, perfect, exactly, great. How you doing, Danny? I hear you've had a little accident this afternoon.
Yeah, I was in the shower this morning and I slipped and I smashed my right ankle into the side of the bathtub, and I had to go to the hospital and have x-rays and everything, and so I had a little bit of painkillers in me, so I may say a few words I don't mean to, sort of thing, but I'm doing good. And again, I actually have a project I'm working on, but I'll get into that later on in the show.
I would have to admit, though, I was listening to a story of yours and I lost the time, and Jay told me, hey, aren't you doing a show? You're on 5 minutes from now. So I think I put together a show pretty quick, but your story was pretty interesting. Maybe I'll get the finished part of that.
Oh, yeah, you will.
How you doing, David?
Hi.
That's the most classic thing I've ever heard in my life. Hi.
I want one day to Dave just to say, here is the news.
Yeah.
So let's do this over again. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm fine.
Good.
So anything going on over there?
Just it's been kind of a lazy day today. Not a whole lot going on today. And, but tuning in for tonight's show to see what's new in the modeling world.
Oh, very good. I think we might have something new today, but we certainly will try. How you doing, Heath?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm looking rather Jedi today.
Very good, and it's very
it's
cold.
cold. Yes, it is.
So you won't be telling us what Monday's like, because it's not going to be cold. At least I hope it won't be here. In the Northern Hemisphere, anyway.
I've got the lotto numbers, though, but I'll get onto that later.
Okay, good.
Speaking of lottery numbers, and I'm glad you brought it up, because, let me see, get an update of, do you do 3 digits numbers there in Australia?
Yes, we do.
You call it the daily number. How about 879, 879?
Bingo.
Okay, 879 would be how many members we have currently. That's why I brought it up. 879 folks joined us, and some of us are watching. Anyway, how you doing, Jay?
I am doing fabulous. How are you doing? I know how you're doing. I don't really care. So, is wearing underwear a requirement now?
I don't know what to say.
If you say yes, I've got to leave for a minute. So.
Okay, I guess you're doing fine.
Yeah,
Today, you know what? We've talked long. You know what? I don't even know. I'm so disorganized right now. But anyway, we were going to talk about building a kit in a manner that wasn't intended to. In other words, bashing a kit. That's what it's called, kit bashing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes using one kit and making parts and adding to it, or just getting 2 kits and making them one.
Why are you bashing the kit? What did the kit do to you? Well, it's just stood there. It's just there, waiting to be made, and you bashing it. God.
Yeah, but some kits deserve to be bashed. I mean, just look at round 2 and the destruction they did to anything sci-fi. I mean, don't even get me started on Defiant. That thing never freaking lines up properly.
That I can attest to.
Well, to be fair, the Defiant never really was a fabulous kit because I've got one of the original ones and it doesn't line up any better than the round 2 kit does. So.
Now, if you squeeze it in the middle, the sides pop out. You got to do an internal structure. But before we're going to talk about that, Bob said you had something going on over there. What do you got going on over there?
Let me come back to you. Okay. Well, since the last time we spoke, I finished my dock.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. You have pictures on the Amazing Plastic community. Is that right?
That's right. And I've started working on the base. And for my ocean base, I'm actually using a piece of floor tile.
Uh-huh. Very good.
Gives the illusions of sea waves and stuff.
Right.
Yep.
And
That you're going to use that as a base for the airplane?
for the diorama, it's going to look basically, it's going to look like it's just breaking the surface of the water.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is what I have for a screen share. This is off of your Google base for the airplane.
For the diorama, it's going to look basically...
What I'm showing here is what you got as a floor tile for a diorama.
Right, that's where it's starting at right now, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll add the water and the foam and everything underneath of it.
Sure. That is really cool. And what's really cool about it is it's exactly 1 foot by 1 foot.
Right.
The simple floor tile, what you can do.
Yep.
Actually, it looks like just before it hits the water from this shot.
Right. The box art on the cover art for the box shows the scene of it taking off with the spray underneath, and that's what I'm shooting for on that.
Okay.
Well, that's going really good.
What you could use for the water, if you don't have the Woodland Scenics waterfall kit, is you can use cotton wool and you can just stretch it, and that way it looks like water. It looks like water spray.
I'm just using the floor tile because it's got the coloration and striation pretty much right. Then I'll go over that with water effects and then add the mist and the foam and the wakes from the flame.
Question, I have a picture here, a closer up on the side of the fuselage. You've, there's cables that would hold the bi-wings together pretty much. What did you use?
It's called Easy Line.
Oh, yeah.
And Easy Line is what?
It's an elastic string, basically.
Oh, it's an elastic.
It'll stretch up to 700%, I guess, of its normal length, and you attach it to super glue.
Basically, Easy Line's good because it stretches and gives the look of actual rigging without the tension being put on the wings in various areas of the model.
And also, if you bump it, they don't come snapping off.
Fingers in here and move it up and down.
Yeah.
Get amongst the rigging, and the rigging will actually move.
Yep.
Very cool.
Easy Line started life as a jewelry supply, like for stringing beads and things like that. And then they found out people were buying the black stuff and using it, for models. So they started coming up with it in different colors. It's like I can't remember the name of it, but it was a pastel, pan pastels. They come in a little container. They started life as an art supply, but did not sell very well at all. But now you go into almost any hobby shop and you find them in the model weathering supplies because they are perfect for that.
Yeah. My uncle used to use the Easy Line on his ships on doing the old Spanish galleons. He'd use that as the rigging. And that.
There's something I've often wondered about, and I'm looking at this picture. There's a guy in the backside with a machine gun. Did he ever hit the rudder?
No. Well, yes, but I've never heard a story of them shooting themselves down. I know in World War I, the French had issues with their machine guns shooting off the propellers in the front of the plane, until an American designer designed a cog that allowed the machine gun to stop firing if the propellers were in the way. He actually designed it, put it in the engine, it mounted into the machine gun's trigger mechanism, so the guy could pull the triggers down, and the machine guns would fire. But the moment that propeller became within half a radius turn of the guns, had stopped firing automatically.
Huh.
They would stop shooting the propellers off.
Well, how many rotations a minute is a propeller, and how many times a minute does a machine gun?
In World War I, there's only 4-cylinder bank engines, which means the max RPM they probably do is about 6,000.
In a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very nice model, Bob. Extraordinarily good work. Good job, Mister.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
How about you, Danny? You got any show and tell here?
Actually, yes, I do. I have a kit that not only do I think belongs in Satan's back garden, but so does Steve Neal and a whole bunch of other guys. And that's the Reliant kit from I think it's just the round 2 one, or is this the Polar Lights? I can't remember. It's the AMT.
AMT.
I'm in the process of converting this twice over, which is weird. It's the stock kit, but I'm converting it into being a different ship of a different ship of a different ship, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
It's okay. I'm making it look like the Pregarine class, but it's not going to be a Federation vessel. It's going to be a mirrored universe vessel, where they're all like the whole weird where Germany won and the Federation's evil, basically. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing an evil Federation vessel of it, which is why all the lights aren't the typical blue, green, and red. They're mostly yellows, because for some reason yellow was the color of choice back then. So.
Okay. And how about you, Heath? What's on your bench?
Oh, I've only got my Batmobile and my Enterprise, but I do have some models coming in the coming weeks, which I will be showing off, which I've probably told everybody about, and if I haven't, sorry, I'm not going to go through it again. But at this moment in time, no, I have nothing on my bench except for my lightsaber, but that's it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to skip over you, Jay, because I want to talk at length because of what I brought up earlier as a subject matter. And what I want to show, what I did last week, I threw this together in I'd say about 6 hours. This is the Revell Dauntless. All right, let's go right there. And I hung it up in my basement. I like the Star Trek behind it. Yeah, I just threw it together because I had gotten parts from a aftermarket place, and I bought the wrong parts, so I had to reorder them, and I had nothing to do on my Reliant build, so I threw this thing together, and I have it there attacking my TIE Fighter.
You do realise the TIE Fighter would have its guts regardless. Could have been gone.
I'm pulling for the underdog. I'm going for my Dauntless. My Dauntless would shoot it down.
Well, if you're a fan of Doctor Who, you'd understand where I'm going with this. But in Doctor Who, they actually took Spitfires and put blaster cannons in those to take out some Daleks. So I'm thinking maybe if that Dauntless bumped into the Doctor, it might actually beat that TIE Fighter.
But this is the kit that I had put together. It's a 1/72 scale.
Oh, very nice.
It's probably I'd say about 6 or 7 inches long. It's really tiny. But it was a lot of fun to build. There's no interior whatsoever. And basically, what you find out
you'll never get interior when it concerns aviation and the words testers. You never get interior.
Sure, but that's what I built and instead of my Reliant. And I'm building something right now, too. I'm doing an 18-inch Enterprise, though, but this is a new dorsal fin. And it's going to have the nacelle just right here. Let's see. This is the bottom one, but you get the idea. It's one of the going to be
the singular warp engine. Yeah, I know what one you're talking about.
It's going to. It's called the Destroyer of some sort.
Destroyer class, yeah.
But I'm using a 18-inch kit to do it, and I just bought another kit on eBay. I'm going to do a whole bunch. I'm not just going to build the Enterprise, but I'm going to build all the other ships that the universe has on TOS. Never on the show. But that we're never on a show.
Mm-hmm. There's actually Jay did a TOS Miranda class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
he did. I'm working
awesome.
on that too, but I don't think it'll ever get done though. That's a tough one.
And what I would like to build from the original series would be a Stargazer class. What would be the Stargazer class in the original series style?
Well, that'll be an interesting build.
I'm just gonna do what's out there and make, because the Miranda class is a stretch that wasn't in the original universe.
Mm-hmm.
And TOS universe, I should say.
I've just always liked the Stargazer ship because of the fact that it was a practical model. You know, it wasn't CGI, and I've always liked the Stargazer model as it was. And they never came out with a kit, and then someone said all it is just the Enterprise kit and the Miranda class kit and the horrible freaking Wrath of Khan Reliant kit just kit bashed, and that would be an interesting build. I think.
Of kit bash, I'm going to go over to Jay, and there was one ship that was supposed to be the original version of the Enterprise.
Oh yeah.
Before the saucer section, and you have it probably displayed there at a 350 scale. That would be the what?
This is my version of the I forgot what it's called.
Daedalus?
Daedalus.
Daedalus class ship. This is a refit because I figure that virtually all of the ships in Star Trek got a refit at some point or another, and this is actually almost to the point where I can start painting it its final color. But I've got the lights. The lights are in it. They are covered over with paint right now. Windows are covered over, but speaking of kit bashing, this actually started life mainly as a space shuttle with boosters kit.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the solid fuel or the liquid fuel tank, and this is solid rocket boosters from a space shuttle kit that have been modified heavily, and that's what they used on DS9 for the. That's what Greg Jean used for the desk model of the Daedalus class, and so.
How are you stopping the warp engines from sagging?
Like I said before, prayer. I've got them heavily reinforced with epoxy putty on the inside of the body and what do you call it? Dental acrylic up in the body up there. I also did cut. I mean the pieces are not fit like this. You know, like the nacelles here and the pylon is here. They're not fit like this. I cut holes in it. They're fit like this. So it's actually keyed into it.
Mm-hmm. Here is the picture of Cisco in his office, and the Daedalus is right there in the background.
Yep. So
there was a model built, but not ever used on camera, other than a display in somebody's office. In this case, Captain Cisco's office. So
Steve Neal actually restored that model, that particular model right there. He restored that model last year, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty beat up.
Oh yeah, it was in bad.
So is that? So Jay, is that Daedalus like a motion picture type Daedalus, like from when we see the Enterprise?
No, it's actually one of the early designs for the Enterprise when the TV series was first being.
Oh, right.
And it's one of the hundreds and hundreds of designs Matt Jeffries and some of the others came up with. They liked the part in the back. They liked the engines. They didn't like the spherical saucer or the spherical primary hull. I know that when they were first starting to work on the TV series Enterprise, Doug Drexler wanted to go with something similar to this, you know, with the round primary hull and such.
Oh, yeah.
But the suits at Paramount said no. They didn't think the ship would be recognizable as the Enterprise. So
Man, only squares would say no to a circle.
yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of the Enterprise, I saw on G Plus and on YouTube yesterday that Paul Olsen, the man who painted the refit Enterprise, is looking for it, and they want to redo it. And
they want to restore her, and the only problem with that is it doesn't belong to them. So if the person who does own it doesn't want it restored, it's not getting restored. They really have no say in the matter.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's a great idea. I think it'd be great.
I think that a better idea, personally, would be to get in and photograph the hell out of the model and measure it and
build another one, build a replica.
Build a replica, because the lighting inside that thing are all grain of wheat bulbs and neon tubes.
Yeah, so they're most likely burnt out.
Burn very hot.
They could upgrade the lighting on it. They could make it with lighter materials.
Yep.
I think that would be a far better idea.
And they could probably get someone like Steve Neill on board, because Steve does his huge 66-inch Enterprise. He's already got the know-how of how to make it on a larger scale. And if Paul really wants to know where it's at, it's in New York City. It's the owner of the New York Giants is the owner of that model. It's sitting in his home. And as far as I know, trying to persuade a New Yorker to give something up is almost impossible.
Yeah. You ain't taking that, man. No.
It took an act of Congress for them to get rid of large sodas, for crying out loud. Come on.
Well, I don't want to talk about too much sci-fi, but there is one thing that one of our members had finished, and that would be Carwin. And Carwin finished the Red Dwarf. And I have to admit, I have no idea what this spacecraft is about. Can somebody
mining ship?
You should be
a huge, about a couple of mile long mining ship.
It's roughly about the same size as the moon.
Yeah, well, Red Dwarf is a British science fiction show about the only
human left.
The only human left after 3.5 million years. He was in stasis, and now he's trying to get back to Earth, but since the ship has been traveling at nearly light speed for 3.5 million years, it's going to be a long trip home. And it ran for 8 years, and then it was canceled, and then they did a set of specials, and then earlier this year they did a new series, Series 10, and there's a new series coming out
Series 11
later this year or early next year. So it's a very popular show. It's very, very funny.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful, beautiful model.
Typical dry British humor.
Beautiful model. I have to say I'm not familiar with it, but it certainly is interesting.
What he's got there could be used in the show. It's that.
Oh yeah. Doug Nader, the creator of that ship, would be proud to see that.
Yeah.
If he did in person.
Yeah.
No, he just needs a Starbug.
There's one thing I haven't seen very much of, Danny, and I think we need to talk about this. We've tried to do sort of group builds on the Across the Pond. Well, the latest one was the lighted car. I didn't succeed. I don't think I'm going to succeed. I'm more interested in either. There was talk about on. I think it was Across the Pond about doing naval ships.
Okay.
How about armor?
What about it?
What will be a good model to get started with if you've never built a?
Well, you've got one of the kits right there to get you started. That plane you built. Testers does do a very entry-level basic tank. Some tanks they're already pre-painted, and you just got to put them together. You can pick them up at Walmart. They're about $14. And they're roughly, I think they're just a little bit under. I think they're 1/24 scale. And they're in between my favorite scale, which is 134.
Scale, that would be the size of the cars at 24 scale cars. So
yeah,
they would be bigger than the cars.
Yeah, Walmart actually has them. My local Walmart, they have an M5 Stuart and a M4 Sherman, a Panzer III. They got a whole bunch of. They're trying to corner the market of getting kids back into building model kits again, and so they're trying to make it very easy and simple for people to do. You don't even need glue. It's actually just and it's not metal. Most people think they're metal. They're not. They're actually plastic, but they have little screws that you just screw in the bottom. And the tracks are made of rubber, so you don't even need glue for the tracks. And the wheels are already on the chassis. You just got to put the top on, screw it on, take the turret, put the turret on, put the rubber on, and that's it. It gets built. It's that basic entry level into armor building. And then from there, I would suggest you go from a simple tester's kit probably to an Airfix kit, which is the next stage up. And then from an Airfix, you'd probably go to like a Huss Vega. And then from a Huss Vega, you probably want to go to a Dragon, and then from a Dragon to a Tamiya. Tamiya being the very last one, because Tamiya tank kits can be quite finicky, especially if you get an old original pull in the mold compared to a new retooling. The Walker Bulldog I built a couple of weeks ago, that's an original 1973 kit. And it had a lot of fitting issues, especially on the lower hull. Monogram as well, they do... I wouldn't say they're easy, but they can be. Depends on what pull you get in the mold. On tanks as well, that Mark 48 pattern is a monogram kit that I got for my birthday.
Show us.
Sure.
He has to take off his headphones. Well, I got to say the tester's kit was pretty easy to do. 6 hours. I've included paint drying.
This is the Tamiya Walker Bulldog.
Oh, there you go.
In the Vietnam the Vietnam Air Cav colors camouflage scheme. The decals on this kit were pretty bad because again it's an old kit. It was from 1973. So it said on the actual copyright mold on it, and it wasn't a repop because I checked. The newer repop colors are in an egg white color. This was all original green plastic, so it was original mold. And with this one, it's got a lot more finical details, like the fact that you can actually have the turret sit in its resting mount, and every individual cupola opens up, and various other things like that. As where this is a straight up monogram kit, same scale. It's just that's how big the pattern is compared to the Walker Bulldog. Right. This one again, it's a turret on top of a turret. If you look, it's actually two turrets built in, which is your machine gun. Again, the stowage all came in one. It wasn't individual pieces like it would be on a Tamiya kit. On this Tamiya, on the Walker Bulldog kit, every handle wasn't molded in. I had to cut them from the sprue very carefully and glue them on individually. As where the majority of the turret information, like these turret rings that you see here, were actually molded onto the turret. They weren't a piece that you glued on, which makes it easier for some model builders. Also, the only pain in the butt with this kit was the lower hull here came in two separate halves. If you look on the lower engine plate here, you'll see a crack.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's because I have to reputty that. But the lower engine actually came in two separate halves, which was a pain in the arse. Pardon my French. So if you're looking for an interesting, challenging kit, but not too challenging, go with the monogram. But honestly, I really wouldn't, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get really upset and throw the kit at someone, especially someone you don't like the person who bought it for you for your birthday.
Out of the cannon, right?
Yeah, and and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone's building skills. It's just Tamiya, in their own right, are the Rolls Royce of armor model kits. And Dragon as well. I have to give props to Dragon.
I have to say they would tend to be in the $30, $40, $50 range.
Yeah. The cheapest Tamiya kit I've seen was this Walker Bulldog kit, and I got it for $18, free shipping on Amazon.
Okay.
But I have seen this kit go for anywhere between $45 and $50 on eBay.
Wow.
The monogram kit, this kit for a lot of plastic was only $8 free shipping. Again, Amazon.
Wow.
I've seen that exact same kit go on eBay for $25 to $30. Now, Dragon is a very unique company because they don't sell the photo etch and everything else separately. When you buy a Dragon kit, if it has a photo etch set available, it will have the photo etch in the kit.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, they know that some of the issues, like with the drive wheels on some of their kits, are from different molding companies. Like, you'll have the turret from a Tamiya kit, the chassis from a Monogram, and you're going to have issues. So they throw in a photo etch to help you fix those issues. You know.
Kidding.
Yeah, and so that's why I have to give props to Dragon, because Dragon are as I say, Dragon is the gateway drug model kit into a Tamiya. If you really, because Dragon, but then again, it also depends. I know that Dragon, when it comes to building planes, their kits are far superior to Tamiya. When it comes to building tanks, Tamiya just beats them like the poor stepchild that they are.
Like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, but the problem is, I've noticed lately on some of the Dragon's newer kits they're releasing, it actually has Tamiya molding marks on them. So, so they're being sneaky and using some of the old original molds from Tamiya and just rebranding.
Guys, I've got to go. I've got a busy day ahead of me. I've got to go. So, nice catching up. I'll talk to you later.
Very good.
And have been rebranding them under the Tamiya name. Now, there was a modeling company. They're not around anymore. They were called 21st Century, and they made. Now, she's a bit of a dusty girl, but they made American artillery pieces. This is the M37 Priest artillery piece, and all I did to this was I added side skirt armor and an antenna for the radio. But everything else is literally what you got in the box, including pre-painted ammunition shells. And sadly, this company is no longer around.
Huh.
But their stuff, they were an American company, plastic chassis, plastic everything else. But just like on the testers kits I was telling you about, it's held together with screws. If you look underneath the kit, you can see the screw holes. It's actually held together with screws, which is a bit of a shame because I would rather like to actually build it from the ground up. But they weren't bad, and I got that for $7 at my local Walmart. So you can get some entry-level kits that are pretty cheap. Husvega do a lot of 2-in-1 kits where when you buy it, you actually get two, like the MiG-15 and the F-4 Phantom. They've got a Korean War and a Vietnam twin sets. You just go to their website, you'll find them, and they're actually entry-level kits, which means the wings are actually part of the fuselage, and you just sandwich them together, put 2 screws in, and that's it. The plane's done. You just sand away any mold lines, putty it if you have to, and just add the cockpit, the canopy glass, and that's it. You're done. So, for honestly, my honest opinion, if you want an entry-level armor kit, look at Testers, look at Husvega, look at Airfix. Again, Airfix have different difficulty set levels within their own kit ranges. You can get some that are kit difficulty 1 all the way up to kit difficulty 5. Again, but then again, when I first got into building tanks, I was building Tamiya kits. I was building the high-end kits straight away. And that's because most of them were usually birthday presents from family. They just really wanted me to suffer. Not going to say names, but thank you, Dad. Love you very much. And honestly, as my dad used to say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yeah, obviously he never spent time in a small bedroom with glue. So yeah, but if I could take what I know now and apply it when I was 9, 10 years old back then, I would have looked at my dad and said, give me a Matchbox kit. Matchbox is a car company that make little die-cast metal cars, but they also used to make model kits. And they don't make them anymore, but if you can find a Matchbox difficulty 1 kit, it's basically already painted for you. It's already pre-assembled. You just basically put stickers on it, and that's it. It's that easy. You just put stickers on the damn thing, put it on the box, take a picture, boom, you're done. Right. So, but for now's technology, if I was you, again, don't be afraid to kit bash as well. You can kit bash even with entry level kits. And that's what a lot of people think. Oh, I just have to follow the instructions and stick to it. No. Far from it. I actually have a difficulty 2 kit, which is a German Panther kit, again from 21st century, but I replaced the battle cannon on it for a 97mm howitzer. It came with a 37mm gun, and I just swapped it out for a bigger gun, and it just looks more natural, as it should have done. But again, you can, because you were talking about kit bashing, you can even kit bash entry-level kits like the Dauntless you've got. Sure. I know that they also do a Striking Tiger, which is a P40 Kitty Hawk kit in the same range as that. You could take some of the Kitty Hawk parts and swap them out, like the machine gun for your rear gunner. You can swap that out for a different machine gun. Instead of it being a 30 cal, you can swap it out for a 50 cal. And that makes it the A3 Dauntless. That's all it is. But again, it's just those little small things that you can do that makes it just yours. Also, even with an entry kit like what you had, you could have scratch built yourself a little cockpit inside, little stick, rudder.
I could have, but it wouldn't have taken me most of the day. Well, actually, it was an afternoon build. Like I said, that time that I spent building that had to do with really paint drying, so I can, the assembly itself, I think, probably took 15 minutes.
Oh yeah. You could have again.
With glue, I was with glue, even glue drying, and that wasn't very many parts. From what I recall, it was probably about 10 to 12 parts, and that included the 2 guys that sit in the cockpit. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say my F4U.
The engine and the prop. Right.
Yeah, my Corsair was a tester's kit. And I customized the pilot a little bit, customized the lower gas tank, and I put a small little pager motor in mine. So if I plug it into my USB port and flick a switch, the actual propeller will spin as if it's in flight. But yeah, you can easily do small little things like that. That was a stage 1 easy kit as well, ironically. I picked that up in the bargain bin at my local grocery store here before they closed. So you can get them. They are out there.
Well, there is one thing that Bob on his Google Plus community that he's been doing, and that will be the 45-year anniversary of the Apollo landings. So, Bob, are you involved with any tribute builds for the Apollos or the space shots?
Yeah, actually I am. I'm doing it for the Heroes build. Group build this month. I'm doing the Space Shuttle Discovery, which I've got in primer now, and we'll be starting on the 747. Well, that kit that you want.
That's a big kit.
And then actually work today. I've been working on. I got 144 scale F5 that I'm converting to a T-38.
Oh, nice.
And that will be the escort craft to the Boeing 747?
Basically, I had to scratch build a new canopy for it, and then get rid of the guns and such. So it's an F5B, not a T-38, but close enough for government work.
Yep. One man's mistake is another man's headache.
For somebody that works in the government? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Scaling down the decals that I have from 148 scale to 144 scale. That's going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah. I know testers, ironically talking about testers again, I know testers have a decal printing program you can get for free on their website. It actually has a scale thing on it where you can tell it what scale to set, and it will set the scale down for you.
Yeah. I sent you a scan of Danny. That's got to scale that down.
Yeah. Actually, thank you for that. I'm actually going to be putting that to a lot of good use.
I'm trying to look for. There's a guy on our community who I think he farts and an airplane comes out that's fully built. I swear he just puts planes out like it's nobody's business.
I was going to say, if you said Voyager, I was going to say that'd be Tony McCash.
No, that would be Tony McCash, but I know he's watching, and I know I'm going to be showing his Voyager soon, but I'm going to talk about this guy. Where is this? His name is Andrew Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
The man is just amazing. He does.
Oh, Andrew? Yeah, Andrew's pretty freaking amazing. He really is.
Oh yeah, his builds and he.
Mm-hmm.
He just,
I like his Sutherland build that he's been doing lately. He got an Airfix Sutherland kit, Sutherland Mark III. I've been following that build very closely.
Right.
And it's actually pretty impressive for a 172 scale Airfix kit. Again, Airfix. When I was doing Airfix kits, they weren't known for their detail. They were just known for something you could do in an hour. You know, most of their kits didn't even originally come in a box. They came in a little cellophane bag that was stapled, and there was no instructions. They were that simple. And
he just does amazing work, and he just does it so fast. Or maybe he's sharing other people's work. I don't know. He just does it so fast. Anyway, okay, Tony, I know you're watching, and I'm going to really talk up your Voyager. And this is the particular picture I want to bring forward in here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about the paint job later, but there's one thing about this ship from Star Trek. The windows were recessed.
Mm-hmm.
His windows are recessed.
Yep.
I can't tell you how hard, one, it is to put windows first in, and two, now you got to make them recessed. I got to be asking him how he did it, because
I asked him how he did it.
Phenomenal.
I did ask him how he did it, and he laughed and said it was a secret.
I guess we'll have to kidnap him.
You may get the info from him where I failed, but
we'll just have to kidnap him and tie him to a chair, and
he might like that. He might like that.
I just said the wrong thing. I know.
But actually, no. We could kidnap him, tie him to a chair, and take a hammer to some of his favorite model kits until he starts.
But you don't have to like Star Trek. You don't even have to think that sci-fi builders are modelers in the true sense of the word. But you got to admit, the paint job this guy did on this is incredible.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And again, I even asked Tony in a Hangout what was he going for, and he said I was going for season 1/season 2. Because in Season 1 and Season 2 of Voyager, they actually used a practical model for the ship. They used a practical model,
yeah, and the rest of the 5 seasons they did CGI.
Yeah, and so that's what he was going for. He was going for the original practical model feathered effect. Kind of like what they do on the Romulan Birds of Prey in Star Trek The Next Generation. He was going with that sort of effect because it was the same artist who did the Birds of Prey that actually did the paint job on the Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what he was trying to mimic, was the same painting style. And
I don't know.
He nailed it.
I shared it because you were talking. Let's see if I can share it again. Go ahead. Because Pro Studio allows me to click onto an image and stick with it no matter who's talking.
Cool.
This is the feathering that. Oh heck, where it is? Here it is.
Yeah.
This is what Danny's talking about. If you look along here, it's darker than it is at the forward part of the panel. And if you look along here, there's no defined etchings. It still has a quality which makes it look like it was made from individual pieces of hull and not one piece. This is what makes it realistic.
Feathering is what's known as the poor man's Aztec. If you don't have someone like Lou's painting masks or anything like that, you can do. I actually did that sort of feathering technique actually on my Cardassian Galore class ship up there. I did something very similar to it, but with different shades of mustard and yellow and custard and whatnot to get the individual body panel sort of look down. So I know it's not an easy technique and it's quite hard to master. And so big props to Tony for it, because apparently that was Tony's very first attempt at trying to do that, and he nailed it the very first time. Knocked it right out the park.
But I'm not that familiar. I wish you was here to talk about what kind of an airbrush he used. But I'll ask Jay and yourself, and even Bob, who have more experience with airbrushes than I do. How would one achieve that?
Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
To get the feathering effect, you don't use tape, because that'll give you a hard edge. You want to use like an index card or some other mask, and you lift it up from the surface of the model just a little bit, and then you spray along the edge. That allows some of the paint to come around, and it gives a little bit of a blurred edge. You can get very, very fancy with that, and you'll get more of a blurred edge the further away you pull the card when you're doing it. But that's how that's done. Is lift it up from the surface a little bit. Kind of the opposite of what they teach you when they teach you how to use an airbrush.
Yep. Yep, I have to agree. I agree 100% with that. And what I tend to do, and I'm actually going to be doing it on that Reliant kit when I get to it, is I'm going to be also doing some pre-shading as well, along with the feathering, to try and enhance the feathering a little bit more with some more darker pre-shading, especially around like the bridge and the phaser beam array and certain areas that draw your eye. If you can pre-shade in those areas and before you feather, the feathering just comes out even a lot more crisper.
Well, there would be the same technique would be used similarly to a car whose body goes from one color to another color, from front bumper to back bumper. Is that what we're talking about?
Something very similar, yes. That form is what's known as color blending. Feathering is something completely different. You're using a contrasting color to make your eye see the difference between the two colors.
Okay.
For example, because he's used a generic gray on the ship, in order to actually give it the look that it's actually individual panels, he's actually used a white to contrast with the gray or a black. You would use a white or a gray color. You on a color spectrum chart, you would use the opposite color to it. So if for example, if you're using black, you'd use white. If you're using white, you would use black. Do you see? Right. So your eye will naturally see, oh, that's actually two separate pieces, when it's actually not. It's one. It's still the same piece.
Right.
A pretty easy technique that I learned early on for it. Let's say my hand here is the surface that you're painting. You're gonna lay your card on there. And I'm gonna take my hand away so you can see it, and then you're gonna take your airbrush. I lost a pen here. And you're gonna focus the airbrush paint just up above the surface of where you're at. You're just kind of letting the overspray actually hit the model down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this is going to create a crisp line, and it's not going to go past, but it's going to fade. It'll be darker here at the edge of the
okay.
Lighter further away.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I was going to say, technically, it's controlling overspray.
Yeah.
Basically.
Overspray is
interesting.
Usually,
your paint is hitting the card, and just basically what's falling down and hitting the model, it's going to be your light. And it's going to give you your crisp line, and stuff that's going past it.
Right.
And then you can actually, if you want a little to go past, you can actually raise this just a hair above your model.
Right.
And a little of that overspray will go underneath, but you'll still have that dark demarcation line where the card is.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's how you would use. That's the technique we'd call feathering.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Because I was thinking not that the card was perpendicular to the surface of the model, but actually parallel to, but lifted up.
You can do it both ways, but using it the way Bob said gives you a crisp edge.
Crisp edge.
Yeah, and using it flat gives you more paint over here and just a little bit back here. It's just basically, what people need to do is get some index cards or whatever, and some regular plain old typing paper and their airbrush and practice.
Yeah. Right. That's
like a voicer head. You had the crisp lines. That's what you would do. That's the technique where you want to put this down. Yeah. Those crisp lines on the panels. You had this sitting all the way down flush, and was painting above it and just letting the spray in.
Right. That would certainly take some practice to do. instead of the perpendicular, and I like the idea of like raising it a little bit. Yeah, that is something to practice on. Thank you. So you can use just about any airbrush with any nozzle. It just doesn't matter. You just got to practice and make sure you got the right overspray.
You can use single action, double action. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
If you're using about the only place you'd want to make sure you're using the right airbrush, or at least the right airbrush nozzle and such, is if you're doing really, really fine little detail. You want to use a finer airbrush nozzle, but for the most part, any airbrush, I mean, any airbrush will do that, period. Right. But, you know, depending on the control, you know, you can also adjust your air pressure. That makes the difference, you know, if less paint out.
When I feather, I tend to do it at about 8 to 10 psi.
Yeah.
And I don't tend to go any higher than that.
Really? 8 to 10?
Yeah.
That's not much.
You want it to be a subtle effect. You don't want it to go. You don't. When you want to be subtle with that, because it is such a subtle effect, you don't want to do it with a hammer. You know, so you want to do it as light as you can. So that's what I tend to do.
Yeah. You don't want to go too light though, because if you lower your pressure too much, your paint will stipple.
Yes.
Get little drops out, which is a nice effect on its own. You know, getting real fine little drops. But you know, that's another area altogether. We should do a show just on airbrushing sometime.
Yeah, we probably would.
If you guys can set it up, and even set it up in such a fashion that we actually have something live going on, we can see you make mistakes and laugh at you and all that.
I recently did get my other webcam working. So what I might do is hook up both my webcams. And then when we go to do it, I'll have the webcam set up on my paint booth.
Hey, but if either you two or both of you want to do it on the show, certainly one of the just tell me when you guys are all set up and ready to do it.
Great.
But I want to tell our viewers as well as our members, if you're going to post something on our community, I can use photographs of your work and share it with the community during a show. A lot of you are doing videos, which is fantastic. But we can't share them in the course of a show. We can't talk about them and watch them. In fact, I'm not going to trust Google for, screen sharing them. So if you have photographs as next to your movies, next to your videos, do your photographs on your site and on the Amazing Plastic community page, and then we can get you on. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's getting harder and harder to find. So few people actually put photographs up. It seems so old-fashioned. But certainly it's very interesting when someone does do photographs, and such clean, crisp photographs like Tony had done. That would be great. That would be great. So, guys, what do you think?
I'm happy.
Oh, yeah. I think what Tony did with the ship is amazing. I think that the fact that that's his very first ever feathering attempt is absolutely freaking out the park. I think the model's going to be beautiful.
He did say it was his first attempt, so it couldn't be that hard. It probably just needs a couple of several minutes of practice and go from there. Hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? You just paint the model over again and start over again.
Yeah. And so, you know, the fact that the guy can do it is amazing, you know, which goes to show for you guys watching, who you think you can't do it, you can.
Okay, this is what we'll do on Sunday coming up. In a couple of weeks from today, we'll do a painting demonstration. If you guys can set up for it.
Yeah.
If you want to show it,
I can set up
happy.
I can
you just need to
my
set
paint
up
room, and it works nice because I don't use a compressor. I use CO2, so there won't be any noise.
Yeah, unfortunately, I use a compressor. I use a desktop compressor, so there'll be noise on my end. But what I could do is I can do the paint setup and prep side for you, where it doesn't need a compressor. Where I'll show you guys how I set my acrylic paints up for airbrushing and stuff, and prep and everything else that needs to be done.
All right, and anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching. It's been just about an hour. And without you guys watching, without you all putting the pictures and videos on the website and actually building models, I swear, I come home every day from work. I don't have a life. I go on Amazing Plastic and see who posted what. and just whatever it is. I want to do armor, and so I'm going to make a point of to do like more airplanes. I've got 3 more airplanes I can build, and I'd like to do a tank. That's what I'd like to do. But you guys inspire me. The sci-fi guy knows how to enjoy other models. I hope everyone is like that. But I'd like to thank you all for making this.
I hope you don't mind, Jack, but I've also been restreaming this on my twitch.tv channel, and people in my chat have been wanting to ask, just generic questions and stuff. Right. So I'll ask you guys after the show. So it's just mostly about you, Jay, and about your Daedalus and stuff. One of my viewers wants to know if you ever worked or met Gene Roddenberry. I'm like,
I haven't met.
No.
Yes, I did meet Gene Roddenberry.
Yes, he did meet him, but he didn't work for him or anything. So yeah, that was from 420 Hemi Truck. Just there you go. So there you go. Now you know.
But I'd like to thank you all for joining us today, and that would have been Bob. How you doing, Bob? Thanks for joining us and sharing, and we'll be looking forward to next time. Of course, Danny, you'll have a lot to say, always share a lot. And David, you were just a quiet observer there.
Yeah, this time I was taking it all in this evening. Very informative.
Are we inspiring you to put glue to styrene yet?
Yes, you are, actually, yes.
And Jay, your expertise is always very appreciative, and maybe at some point we can do a garage kit out of that Daedalus, of course.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things you and I are coming up with. We've been talking about doing some stuff for not just the community, but for the hobby, and we'll see where that takes us at a later date. And this is Scratch and Jack, your a host extraordinaire on Amazing Plastic. Thanks for watching. You have a good week, and happy modeling, everyone. Good night.